Chapter 21, Nala. Intense, violent throbbing pulsated from the spots where Nala's head banged against the thick tree limbs. She tried to shield it as best she could, but with the way she dangled from the monkey's tight grip, it was difficult for her to control her own body. Her stomach roiled with the up and down motion as they swung from tree to tree. Not to mention the heart-stopping fear that the monkey would lose his tight grip and she would go plummeting to the ground. Her mind was a jumbled mess, with her wanting him to free her, yet afraid that he would do just that. Their ear-piercing screeches were the worst sound she had ever heard, even worse than the cackle of the hyenas. It made screaming for help impossible. Not that she would even try at this point. She was certain the monkeys had taken her too far into the jungle for Scar or Zazu to hear her. She would rather conserve what little energy she had left, though she wasn't sure why. She had no idea where they were headed. She just knew with a gut-wrenching certainty that she would never see her home again. Nala began sobbing, whether for herself or her mother, she wasn't sure. She imagined the heartache her mother would feel when Scar and Zazu returned without her. She had considered the possibility of getting injured or worse before she left Pride Rock, but Nala had thought it would surely be worth it when she brought Simba back to reign as king. But getting captured by these monkeys changed everything. There would be no return to Pride Rock with Simba, and now it seemed she would not be returning either. Nala doubted she would survive the rest of the day in the company of these monkeys. Of all the ways she could have met her death, this was quite a letdown. She would have preferred battling a leopard or a white rhinoceros. To be killed by a pack of monkeys was pathetic. Her head pounced on another thick branch, and for a moment she only saw black. She started to screech, then realized it was because she had closed her eyes. Pathetic. The monkey swung to another tree, and Nala shut her eyes again as a bunch of leaves slapped her in the face. After what seemed like a lifetime, their journey through the dense forest came to an abrupt stop. She grew even dizzier as she continued to hang upside down from where the monkey held her, by her back right leg. From what she could make out, they were in an acacia tree. Its feather-like leaves shaded them from the sun, while the tangle of smooth underbranches created the perfect resting spot for the dozens of squalling monkeys. The noise was relentless. Part of her wanted them to do whatever they were planning to do to her, so that she would be free from this awful racket. The monkey that held her started to jump up and down on the branch, and Nala immediately took back her previous thought. She wasn't ready to die. She wanted her mummy more than she ever had before. Before Nala knew what was happening, another monkey swung to the branch where she was being held and grabbed her left foreleg. She jerked her towards him, but the monkey that had captured her wouldn't let go of her back leg. It jerked even harder. Oh no, no please. It went on like this for several minutes, a literal tug-of-war with her as the rope. They were going to rip her to pieces. Nala heard an awful cracking sound a second before the blinding pain registered in her front leg. Was it broken? Did it matter? Her entire body would soon be splintered and tossed about this forest like the bones of a freshly eaten gazelle. Just when Nala was certain that the life-ending tug was about to happen, she heard the welcome sound of a fierce lion roar. The monkeys stopped their screaming and jumping, all becoming instantly perfectly still. She wouldn't have believed it if she had just witnessed it with her own eyes. The lion roared again. Then she heard, "Nala, where are you?" "Scar. That roar belonged to Scar." "Up here! Scar, I'm up here!" Nala yelled. Her shouts sent the monkeys into a frenzy. Nala was afraid they would take off before Scar could reach her, but a moment later she heard his wondrous roar again. She looked down to see him climbing the tree and had never felt more relieved than when she felt Scar's clamp down on her scruff. He batted away the monkey that had held her captive. Chaos ensued. Scar dashed down the acacia tree. Instead of retreating as Nala assumed the monkeys would do, they followed. At least a dozen of them converged on her and Scar. He set her on the ground and motioned for her to get behind him. Nala's heart slammed against her chest in the same way her head had slammed against those branches. She looked on in horror as Scar crouched low. His deep, rumbling growl was so menacing even she was scared, despite knowing that he was on her side. The monkeys encircled them. The biggest of the crew, the one that had snatched her, lifted his arms in a show of aggression. The others followed, howling and flapping their arms. Nala held her breath. She had never heard of a pack of monkeys defeating a lion, but there was a first time for everything. The head monkey charged at Scar. Nala looked on in astonishment as Scar leapt forwards, catching the monkey mid-air in his mouth. He clamped his teeth on its right leg, then pulled the monkey from his mouth with both paws. Scar slammed the monkey on the ground so hard it made Nala wince. That was all it took. The others gathered their wounded friend and took off, shrieking their displeasure. Nala stared in disbelief at the spot where Scar had thrown the monkey. She was bloodied and bruised, and her leg felt as if it would fall off, but she was alive. She had been certain that she would not live to see another day, yet here she was, alive, thanks to Scar. He turned, and for a moment, Nala thought that maybe she wouldn't live to see another day after all. His expression was murderous. That ugly scar that slashed across his eyebrow puckered. "What were you thinking, you little fool?" he snapped. "Do you know what those macaques could have done to you?" Nala bobbed her head in a frantic nod. She had spent the past half hour picturing all the awful ways those monkeys could have killed her. They could have ripped her body apart or stomped on her head until she ceased to exist. But they didn't get the chance to do any of that because of Scar. All of a sudden she was overcome by a rush of emotions. Relief, gratitude, anguish. They overwhelmed her, robbing the breath from her lungs. Before she could comprehend what she was doing, Nala rushed over to Scar and collapsed against his chest. "Thank you, thank you, thank you." She knew this wasn't the response Scar had expected to his question. She should apologize for putting herself in a position that forced him to have to rescue her. But she couldn't help it. She was so grateful to be alive. All she could think about was how close she had come to being a collection of cub limbs sprinkled around the forest. "Thank you, thank you, thank you," she repeated over and over again. Scar stiffened. A moment later, she felt him lightly patting her back with his big paw as if he thought he would hurt her, or maybe as if he didn't necessarily want to touch her. She couldn't blame him. She was sure she looked a fright. "Oh, Miss Nala." Zazu flew up to them. He was in full-on hysterics. "Are you injured? Should I find raw wood plants? How do we dress a wound, sire? We should dress her wounds and check for broken bones. And oh my, what a head injury. I did not consider a head injury. Oh, Nala, why do you insist on putting me through this agony? Zazu!" Scar bellowed so loud he sent his major domo sailing back into the trunk of the acacia tree. "Pull yourself together. But look at her, sire. She is at death's door." Scar peered down at her, and Nala had to fight not to squirm. "You have taken a beating, haven't you?" he said. She nodded. The motion caused her to sway. "Oh, for heaven's sake," Scar said, scooping her up just before she hit the ground. "So now I have to literally carry you back to Pride Rock. Lucky me." "No," Nala said. Then she moaned. "Well, you certainly cannot walk," Zazu said. "Not in the state you're in." "I can't go back," she said. "Not yet." If only she could rest for a few minutes, she would be fine. The wooziness would subside, and she could think more clearly. "Let us be gone with this jungle," Zazu said. If we leave now, we can make it back to Pride Rock before the sun sets. Sunset. Stars. She needed the stars. No, Nala said, suddenly alert. She could not return to Pride Rock yet. She had to keep moving forwards. Nala, this little adventure of yours is over, Scar said. It can't be, Nala said. Not yet. I have to make it to somewhere important. A weight settled in the pit of her stomach. Should she tell Scar where she was heading? She'd vowed to keep the reason for her trek to Caramba a secret from everyone, and especially from the adult members of their pride. But Nala did not see any other way out of this. If she didn't tell Scar, he would cart her back to Pride Rock. He might still demand that they return, even if she did tell him. But she had to take that chance. She could not risk returning home. But could she trust Scar? She knew the lionesses did not, for reasons she didn't fully understand. Even though they deferred to him as their pride's leader, there had been numerous times over the last 6 months when Nala had sensed tension when Scar's name was mentioned. And she had a feeling that it was about more than just his insistence that their pride accepted the hyenas as part of their family. Their distrust went deeper. However, Scar had not given her a reason not to trust him, and he had just saved her from certain death. She had to take this chance. I am not on an adventure, Nala said. Well, I guess I am, but an adventure is not the reason I left Pride Rock. I am on an important mission. Scar released an exasperated sigh and rolled his eyes. I know all about your plans to go to Caramba, Nala. Her breath caught in her throat. Had that cub shared every single thing about their time together? You overheard the mongoose telling Sarabi that Simba was seen there, but you are on a fool's mission, Scar continued. How many places have there been Simba sightings since the wildebeest stampede? He was seen near Lake Malawi, and then in Dodoma. Where will he show up next? Zanzibar? But this is different, Nala said. Of course it is, he rolled his eyes. Tell me, what makes Caramba any different from all the others? Nala bit the inside of her cheek. Uncertainty about trusting Scar, worrying with the awareness of what she knew she must do. This had always been her and Simba's secret, but it could no longer be, not if she wanted to save him. Because Simba and I talked about going there, Nala said. We always said that if we ever left Pride Rock, we would go straight to Caramba. She thought she saw a flash of interest in his expression. But then he shook his head and said, Who doesn't dream of going to Caramba? It's wonderful there. I've been there a time or two myself. It means nothing. But Rafiki saw him there too. Rafiki? Scar asked. She had definitely caught his interest this time. Nala nodded excitedly. The mongoose reported that Rafiki had a vision of Simba in a cave. I believe it is the Blue Grotto in Caramba. That's the one place we talked of visiting the most. I don't know about this, Zazu said. That still seems like a bit of a stretch to me, Miss Nala. Nala seared him with a scathing stare. She did not need Zazu chiming in with his doubts. She was close to convincing Scar. She could feel it. Think about it, Scar, Nala said. Simba's body was never found. I believe he survived that stampede in the gorge that day, and for some reason he chose to leave Pride Rock and go to Caramba. Simba is alive, she said. I have to bring him home. She set her paw on Scar's much larger one. Please, Nala begged. Help me bring Simba home.